Psychology of modern humans. The kinder you are, the lonelier you feel. Why is life so paradoxical? Welcome to the path to self-realization, a space where we journey together into the deepest corners of the human soul. Confront old wounds with gentle honesty, and slowly rediscover the truth of who we really are. This isn't merely a quest for knowledge, it's a journey of awakening. A place where you are not required to become someone else, but rather, allowed to fully become yourself, in your truest and most liberated form. If you've ever felt alone in a world that moves too fast, ever questioned whether kindness still has value, or found yourself lost in a whirlwind of emotions, then you belong here. Have you ever cried, not because someone hurt you, but because you've been so kind to this world, and all you received in return was coldness, indifference, and sometimes betrayal? Have you ever sat in silence after a long day, staring into the emptiness of a familiar room, wondering, why is it that I treat everyone with so much care, yet I'm the one left behind? If you've ever felt that way, then this video was made for you. We're living in a world where kindness is sometimes mistaken for weakness, where those who are willing to sacrifice, who yield for the sake of others, are often seen as less important or worse, taken advantage of. In this society, the more sincere you are, the more likely you are to be hurt, and the more true you are to yourself, the lonelier you become. But let me be clear, this is not your fault. And no, it's not because you're living the wrong way. It's because we are entering an era where the psychology of modern humans is shifting, in a way that is paradoxical and, at times, painfully ironic. In this first episode, we'll take a deep dive into the heartbreaking truth behind a question many of us have quietly carried. Why is it that the kinder we are to others, the lonelier we feel inside? There is a paradox that lies at the heart of modern life. Those who live with sincerity and gentleness are often the ones most deeply wounded. The ones who care, who listen, who give without expecting. These are the people who carry the heaviest emotional burdens. Have you ever felt like that? The more forgiving you are, the more people push your boundaries. The kinder you are, the more they take it for granted. Gradually, you're drawn into this silent cycle, where you always end up being the one to give more, to absorb the hurt, to take the loss. You keep your promises, but they forget theirs. You listen patiently, but no one listens back. You yield, but they mistake it for weakness. And before you know it, you start to retreat into a quiet, empty space inside yourself, a space we call loneliness. What makes this even more painful is the way our modern society tends to glorify what's flashy, loud, and assertive, while quietly leaving behind those who are soft, slow, and sincere. People are drawn to confidence, boldness, and noise, but those who live with depth, who love quietly, often get labeled as dull. And that's when kind souls begin to question themselves. Is there something wrong with being kind? But no, you are not wrong. It's just that you're living in a world where goodness is not always met with gratitude. Kindness is not a flaw. Sincerity is not a mistake. But in a society where everyone is busy guarding their own hearts, those who open theirs are often the ones who get hurt the most. Have you ever wondered why you're always the one trying to hold the relationship together? Why you're the one who texts first, the one who reaches out after every conflict? Why you remember the little things, show care for others' feelings, but few ever ask about yours? The answer lies in this. You are someone who lives with heart. But in this world, to live with heart means you must also learn something essential: how to protect a part of it, for yourself. You don't have to be kind to everyone. And even more so, you don't need to sacrifice your own feelings just to maintain a false sense of harmony. Because if you don't know how to protect yourself, no one else will do it for you. As you grow older, you begin to realize something. Some people only come to you when they need something. Some relationships only exist because you're the one keeping them alive. And some connections, Once you stop trying, simply disappear. It's not because you're not good enough. It's because you've been too good to those who didn't deserve it. You were the one holding the fragile thread of that relationship. But one-sided effort was never enough. Eventually, you got tired, and you let go, not because you became cold, but because you finally learned a vital lesson. Kindness should never be a lonely sacrifice. Sometimes, those who are overly kind are the ones who have been deeply wounded. They know what pain feels like, so they don't want anyone else to suffer. But the more empathetic they are, the more quietly they endure. Until one day, when they've had enough, they choose to walk away, not with noise or blame, but with quiet disappearance from someone's life. Good people often don't know how to ask for things. They don't say, "I'm hurting," or "I feel lonely," or "Please notice me," because they're afraid of being a burden, afraid of making others uncomfortable, afraid that speaking their truth might drive people away. And tragically, it's that silence that leaves them misunderstood. No one sees that they're slowly wearing thin. No one realizes that behind their soft smile are sleepless nights filled with unanswered questions. Kind people don't need praise. They just long to be seen, not with grand words, but with sincerity, a thoughtful glance, a simple question, a quiet hug when they're weary. But in this fast, self-centered world, even these small gestures have become rare. And so, the kind become the lonely. Not because no one needs them, but because they're so used to giving without asking for anything in return. And when they no longer have the strength to give, they disappear, quietly, just like the way they lived. But then one day, they begin to wonder, am I living the wrong way? Especially when they see selfish people surrounded by others, while they, the ones who gave their all, sit alone. They're torn between two extremes. On one side, staying true to their values. On the other, changing so they won't be hurt anymore. And in between is a heavy, silent emptiness. Kind souls are lonely, not because they're lacking, but because they feel too deeply for this shallow world. Their depth can't be understood through small talk or fleeting relationships. They long for something real, for someone who can see the pain they never speak of, who understands the emotions they try so hard to hide. Are you one of those people? If so, please know this: you're not alone. There are many gentle souls like you, silently walking the earth, quietly loving, waiting to be seen. And someday, you will meet someone who notices that tenderness in your heart. Someone who doesn't just take your kindness, but protects and cherishes it. So please, don't change your nature just because others misunderstood you. Don't retreat endlessly into that shell of loneliness, just because others aren't deep enough to understand. Stay true to your heart. But also remember, kindness doesn't mean giving endlessly. Be kind with boundaries, love with discernment, and if you must sacrifice, let it be with wisdom. You deserve to be loved in the right way. And until that moment arrives, just be who you are. A person who loves, who feels, and who learns to heal themselves. So where is the boundary of kindness? How can you keep a soft heart in a harsh world, without losing yourself? First, understand this: kindness is a choice made by the strong. But strength doesn't mean carrying everything alone. True strength is knowing when to say no to what hurts you. It's drawing boundaries to protect your spirit from being worn down by others' carelessness. Don't become the one who absorbs all the negative emotions just because you're afraid of hurting someone. Don't stay silent forever just to avoid conflict. Prolonged silence doesn't make you noble. It just makes you slowly lose your inner voice. You have the right to choose who enters your life. The right to reserve your kindness for those who deserve it. The right to walk away from relationships that exhaust you. And most importantly, you have the right to love yourself first. Because only when you love yourself completely can you truly love others in a way that lasts. Kindness doesn't mean emptying yourself. It doesn't mean enduring everything just to be seen as good. Sometimes, kindness means walking away when you're no longer respected. It means letting go of what's already hurt you too much. Life isn't always fair, but you can still learn to be fair to yourself. Don't weigh down your heart just because you're too good. Let your kindness be placed in the right hands, given to the right hearts. And above all, be kind to yourself first. And if you're feeling lonely on the journey of staying true to your heart, be patient, because other souls like yours, deep, kind, sincere, they are searching too, and one day, you won't be alone anymore. And yet, kind-hearted people never stop hoping. Even with a heart that bears quiet cracks, they cannot abandon the belief that somewhere, someone else is longing to be loved just as deeply. That belief is not naive. It is the mark of a soul still holding light, even after being surrounded by darkness time and time again. It's that small, persistent light that keeps them smiling, that keeps them helping, that keeps them believing in kindness. Even when they silently wonder if it's still worth it. Maybe they no longer expect anything in return. They simply hope they can stay gentle enough not to become the very person they once feared. Cold, hardened, and lost in mistrust. The loneliness of kind people isn't always sorrow. Sometimes, it's a quiet space where they learn to grow, where they learn to listen to themselves, where they learn how to love without needing to possess. When they realize not everyone can understand their heart, they no longer hurt, they simply learn how to retreat softly. Like the final leaf of the season, falling without a sound. Maybe you've been that person. And if you're walking through that phase now, please know this: your silence is not meaningless. It's a sign that you're growing in the most beautiful and resilient way. One day, someone worthy will see you completely, gently, and with deep understanding. But let me remind you of this truth: your kindness doesn't need to disappear just because some failed to value it. You don't have to become someone else to be loved. What you need is to love yourself enough to know not everyone deserves your tenderness. Loneliness, sometimes, is the space you return to when you've poured too much of yourself into others. It's the moment when you realize you don't have to be strong all the time. You can be tired. You can pause. You can allow yourself to breathe, to heal, to slow down, and to finally notice the little things you've been missing. Because in the end, life isn't just about keeping relationships together or fulfilling every responsibility. It's also about the journey back to yourself, to listen to your own voice, and discover what truly makes you happy. Loneliness, when accepted, ceases to be pain. It becomes a sacred silence, where you can reflect on who you are, where you can clearly see what's real and what's not. From there, you begin to choose again, to choose people who are worthy, feelings that are true, and a life that no longer asks you to constantly bend just to be accepted. And here's something else to remember: only when you live truthfully will you attract those meant to walk beside you. Not because you're too kind, too soft, or too giving, but because your peace calls out to souls who are searching for light, just like you. And if we look deeper into the psychology of the modern world, we find something even more heartbreaking. Those who have been hurt the most often become safe havens for others. They know what loneliness feels like, so they always listen. They know the pain of being abandoned, so they do everything they can to never let others feel the same. But when that care isn't returned, they slowly become the ones carrying everyone else's burdens. Invisible, unnoticed. We live in a world that glorifies speed, performance, and personal ambition. In that world, empathy has become a rare treasure. People chase success, power, numbers, and slowly, they forget how to truly see one another. Some people walk into your life only to take, never to give. They come when they're broken, tired, or lost. You comfort them, you give them warmth, and when they heal, they leave. not with a goodbye, but with silence. And what hurts the most isn't their leaving, but the realization that they never truly saw you as someone worth staying for. So if you've been someone's anchor and were left behind, please don't blame yourself. Just remind your heart, you gave the right love, just to the wrong person. Your worth was never tied to who kept you, but to the fact that you dared to open your heart, knowing it could be broken. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to stop giving when it's no longer needed, to stop holding onto connections that have lost their soul, to stop making excuses for people who keep hurting you just because you don't want to lose them. The loneliness of kind people isn't just about being physically alone. It's the inner question: who can I be completely honest with? Where can I truly be myself without fear of being judged? And when the answer is silence, they choose to be silent too, but not to give up, to listen inward, to begin healing, and to prepare for a new path, one that doesn't require them to sacrifice their peace just to keep a toxic connection alive. So if that's where you are right now, please know, you are not wrong. You're simply learning how to love again, starting with yourself. Thank you for walking with the path to self-realization on this stretch of the inner journey. If something you heard today touched a quiet part of your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, share your story, because perhaps your experience may become a light for someone else still sitting in the dark. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this journey continues, step by step, breath by breath, wounds turning into wisdom, until one day, you'll smile and say, I've finally found myself. See you in the next episode. And until then, may you live in peace, in your own way.